So you have your cruise or your all-inclusive resort or your flight and your hotel booked and you're ready to go. And then you feel a scratch on your leg and you remember, what am I gonna do with my pets? Well, we're gonna talk about it. Let's go. Now, one option is obviously a boarder or a boarding kennel. Now, if you found a good kennel, a boarder that your dogs like, and that works for you, I say go for it. For us, we prefer looking for a pet sitter who will come in and stay in our home with our fur babies and make them more comfortable and make us more comfortable while we're gone. So that's what we're going to talk about, is how to find the best pet sitter for you. Number one is ask. So where do you need to ask? You could ask anywhere. You could ask at your veterinarian's office, your favorite store employee at your pet supply store, your dog groomer. How about your church friends or social group like your Mommy and Me group, or maybe the PTA, your local humane society, or your city shelter? What about your hair salon? Both the employees and the customers there are good resources. Or even your neighborhood Facebook page. There's also always web pages like rover.com or petsitter.com if none of those other options pan out. Now, once you've gotten some names from all of those resources we talked about, you're going to need to narrow it down. So one of the first considerations you can think of is the age of the pet sitter. And the reason that matters is because experience matters, especially if they're like a high schooler or a young college age person. Might not be appropriate depending on how many pets you have, how complicated their care is, and what all other things you will want the pet sitter to do while they're at your house. You'll need to know how that person grew up in their own home and what kind of responsibilities they may have had with their own fur babies. That will help you decide if you think they can handle the responsibilities in your own home. Once you have the candidates narrowed down, you need to conduct interviews with the people you've chosen. Obviously, a pet sitter can be a male or a female. We have used both in our home and had great experiences. But just for the timing of this video, I'm going to refer to she when I talk about the pet sitter. So when you're considering your interview questions, you need to think about how often that person will be at your home. Is the person maybe an at-home mom and she has kids of her own at her home who she needs to take to school in the morning and pick up in the afternoon and take to all kind of games in the afternoon? How often is she going to be at the house? Or maybe it's someone who has a full-time job with a commute. That could quickly add up to being away from the house for maybe 10 hours a day. So if they are going to be away from the home, you need to know how often are you going to be able to come to the home during the day and let the pets out and spend time with them. After you've narrowed it down with the interviews, then you need to set up a meet and greet, or more than one if you've narrowed it down to more than one candidate. And a meet and greet is very important for you to determine how the potential pet sitter interacts with your pets. Obviously, it's the opportunity, if you haven't met them in person yet, to also meet them in person to see how they interact with you, of course, and in your home and with the pets. Are they a little standoffish when they enter the home about the pets? Do they sit down on the floor and immediately enter into the pet's area and start playing? Do they ask questions about the pet's temperaments and their schedules? And do they seem to be interested in your pets? Do they ask how the pets like to be approached or how they like to be talked to? And does she seem to have, I'm going to use the phrase, a command presence, at least a little bit, so that you feel confident that your pets will follow her lead? Having a meet and greet and seeing that interaction could be a make or break moment for your decision with the pet sitter. So once you've interviewed the person and had that meet and greet in your home with your pets, make sure you ask for references. Now remember, the references are coming from the pet sitter herself, so they will be biased. So what else can you do? Well, everybody these days is on social media. So go to Google her name, look for her social media accounts. You'd be amazed at what you can learn from someone on the internet. We're not done, but if you're getting value out of this video, go ahead and hit the like button and consider subscribing for future travel tips, tricks, and vlogs. The next consideration is communication. Be clear about your expectations. It's really not fair to set up a pet sitter for a disappointment or even failure if you're not clear about what you want them to do and what you expect of them. Do your pets need special care regarding their coat or their medication? Are there other expectations around the home? Like, do you have a security alarm? Will there be mail that you expect the pet sitter to take care of while you're gone? Do you have a swimming pool? Is there special care or maintenance of the swimming pool? What about trash collection days? Is the pet sitter going to be responsible for that? Do you have any vendors coming by while you're gone, like a lawn care employee or the pool maintenance person? It's also important to share those expectations because you might get the response that they're not willing to do some of those things, and it's very important to know that up front in the process. Another very important factor is documentation. You need to make sure that you've prepared documentation for the pet sitter with all the relevant information. The vet information, emergency vet for after-hours care, the food servings and schedule or timing for your pet's food. What about medication, the doses and the servings for those, and the time? How about potty habits and schedule? Are there specific phrases or terms that you use for potty? Or are there certain signals that your pets use when they need to go out? The pet sitter needs to know that so she'll recognize the signs. What about information about things in your home? The alarm code we talked about earlier if you have a security alarm. A thermostat if you have an auto thermostat. What if the pet sitter is cold or hot? Are they allowed to change it? What about how to work the TV remote? I found a picture of our TV remote on the internet and I printed it out with little instructions. What are there, like 500 different remotes on the market? That could be very helpful. And what about unique or nosy neighbor issues? Now, don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about because we've all had them, or maybe we currently have them. It's not fair to leave a pet sitter set up for an awkward situation. So be sure that you let them know about those situations as well. And also on the documentation front, make sure that you have a permission document completed and signed by all owners of the pet to make sure that your pet sitter, in case of an emergency veterinarian situation, can take your pets to be treated while you're gone. If you want to learn about another great time-saving travel tip, click on this video right here and be blessed.